Good morning. Today we are going to learn about the Delhi Sultanate. Let's see the subheadings of this chapter. The Slave Dynasty, the Khilji Dynasty, the Tughlaq Dynasty, the Sayyid Dynasty, and the Lodi Dynasty. Before learning about each dynasty, let's learn about the time period of the Delhi Sultanate, which is from 1206 to 1526. Delhi was the capital of sultans who conquered a large part of Indian subcontinent. So 5 dynasties ruled during this period. The Slave Dynasty, which is from 1206 to 1290, the Khilji Dynasty, which is from 1290 to 1320, the Tughlaq Dynasty, it is from 1320 to 1414, the Sayyid Dynasty, 1414 to 1451, the Lodi Dynasty, 1451 to 1526. The first dynasty of the Delhi Sultanate is the Slave Dynasty. Rulers of this dynasty were called slaves or Mamluk sultans. Mamluk in Arabic means owned. Iltutmish and Balban were slaves of Qutb-ud-din Aybak, who himself was a slave of Muhammad Ghori. So let's see the rulers of this dynasty. The first ruler is Qutb-ud-din Aybak, who ruled from 1206 to 1210. Muhammad Ghori had left him in charge of territories he had conquered in India. After Ghori's death, Aybak began to rule as an independent ruler. He was a very kind-hearted and a generous man. So he was called as Lakshbaksh or giver of lakhs because he gave away lot of wealth in charity. He built the Qutb-ul-Islam Mosque in Delhi and also started the construction of Qutub Minar in Delhi. Shamsuddin Iltutmish from 1211 to 1236. Qutb-ud-din was succeeded by Iltutmish. He is considered the real founder of the Sultanate. He undertook the following steps. He shifted the capital from Lahore to Delhi. He consolidated his position by suppressing the rebellious nobles and Rajput chiefs. He refused to give shelter to the ruler of Persia, who was being chased by the Mongol chief Genghis Khan. Thus, he protected the northwest frontiers of the Sultanate against Mongol invasions. He expanded the empire up to Bengal in the east. He reorganized the land revenue system and minted coins out of gold and silver. He completed the construction of the Qutub Minar. Though Iltutmish had many sons, he considered none capable enough to be his successor. So he decided to make his daughter Razia the Sultan of Delhi. The nobles were unhappy with his choice. After the death of Iltutmish, the nobles placed Ruknuddin Firoz Shah, a son of Iltutmish, on the throne. Ruknuddin proved to be an incapable ruler. So Razia, with the support of people of the city, became the next ruler. Razia Sultan from 1236 to 1240. Razia's reign was short but eventful. She proved to be an able ruler. She established law and order and led the army from the front. She also undertook welfare measures such as building roads and setting up dak chowkis or postal stations. The nobles, however, opposed her because they hated taking orders from a woman. Razia further upset the nobles when she tried to reduce their power and took decisions without consulting them. The nobles got together and revolted. She was deposed in 1240 and died soon after. So after Razia, the period from 1240 to 1266. After the death of Razia until the accession of Balban, many rulers came to the throne. Of this, Nasruddin Muhammad, another son of Iltutmish, ruled from 1246 to 1266. He was a puppet in the hands of powerful nobles. Ghiyasuddin Balban from 1266 to 1286. Balban was the most powerful ruler of the Slave Dynasty. He had been an important noble since the reign of Iltutmish and was the real power behind Nasruddin Muhammad. After Nasruddin's death, Balban ascended the throne. He took various measures to consolidate the Sultanate. He reorganized and strengthened the army, fought against the local rulers and defeated many of them. He crushed the power of nobles to prevent them from revolting again. He fortified the northwestern borders against the possible Mongol raids. He built many new forts and repaired the old ones. Balban restored the power and prestige of the monarchy. He believed that the power of Sultan was absolute and nobody could challenge it. He introduced the Persian customs of Sijda and Paibos or Zaminbos. People resented these strongly as they felt such customs were reserved for God alone. After Balban's death in 1286, his successors failed to keep the Sultanate intact. In 1290, the rule of the Slave Dynasty came to an end. The throne of Delhi passed into the hands of the Khilji rulers. Let's see what are the difficulties faced by the slave kings. The sultans had to deal with numerous problems. There were three major difficulties. The slave rulers did not belong to the royal families. Hence, there were many contenders to the throne. The nobles sought means to increase their power at the expense of the sultans. To keep them in check was a major issue for the sultans. The Rajputs and other Indian rulers had not been completely suppressed, and they frequently revolted against the Turkish rule. The Mongols, who had grown powerful under Genghis Khan, were a constant threat to Sultanate. Later, Genghis Khan's successor continued to create trouble for Delhi Sultans. The Khilji Dynasty. The Khilji rulers ruled for 3 decades, from 1290 to 1320. They expanded the Sultanate further. The first ruler of the dynasty was Jalaluddin Feroz Khilji. He was a weak ruler. He adopted a lenient policy towards the Mongols and married one of his daughters to the Ulugh Khan, the Mongol leader. Jalaluddin was succeeded by his nephew Ali Gurshab, who took the title of Alauddin. The next ruler was Alauddin Khilji from 1296 to 1316. Alauddin Khilji was most powerful ruler of the dynasty. He was very ambitious. Soon after coming to power, he set about his goal of establishing an all-India empire. In the 20 years that he ruled, he almost achieved his goal. Let's see how Alauddin's empire expanded during his reign. He conquered Gujarat and Malwa in 1297, which gave him control over the western seaports. Between 1301 and 1303, he campaigned in Rajasthan and conquered Ranthambore and Chittor. Thereafter, he sent a large army to the south under his trusted general Malik Kafur. Malik Kafur defeated the Yadavas, Kakatiyas, Hoysalas, and the Pandyas. He also carried away a large war booty that included precious metals, elephants, horses, and slaves. The defeated kings were allowed to rule, but they had to pay a tribute to Alauddin and acknowledge his overlordship. Towards the end of the Alauddin's reign, his empire was as large as that of Emperor Ashoka. Let's see the Mongol raids during his reign. There were series of Mongol raids during his reign. Alauddin undertook various measures to counter the Mongols effectively. New forts were built along the strategic places. Army was reorganized. Frontier provinces were placed under efficient commanders. Let's understand the administrative reforms of Alauddin, who was an able administrator. He kept a strict control over all the provinces. He took two major steps to suppress rebellions. That is, he posted spies in different parts of the empire. They kept him informed of all the developments in the empire. He curbed the power of nobles. He forbade social gatherings among nobles. He standardized weights and measures. Those caught cheating were severely punished. Reforms in the army. Alauddin paid his soldiers in cash. He started branding horses, which is known as dag, to prevent the substitution of good horses with inferior ones. A full description or chehra for each soldier was also kept. Let's learn about the economic measures during Alauddin's reign. Alauddin wanted to maintain a large standing army at a low cost. To achieve this, he made changes to the taxation system and introduced a number of economic reforms. Land revenue was the most important source of income for the empire. Alauddin Khilji ordered the measurement of all land under cultivation. It was divided into different categories according to its fertility. The land tax was then fixed accordingly. To get more money, Alauddin raised the land tax in the Doab region, that is the fertile land between the Ganga and Yamuna rivers, to 1/2 of the produce. The land tax was harsh on peasants. He also ensured that peasants paid the revenue directly to the king, which weakened the middlemen. To keep a check on his officers and to discourage corruption, Alauddin also introduced the system of getting the accounts of his officers audited. Alauddin also introduced a market control policy. He lowered the prices of all essential items such as food grains, sugar, cooking oil, cloth, and so on. Shop owners were asked to charge the rates fixed by the Sultan. He also appointed special officials to keep a check on the shop owners. Whoever was caught charging even a little extra or cheating with weights was punished severely. This idea of making goods cheaper allowed Alauddin to maintain a large army on limited resources. The policies of Alauddin Khilji made many people poor. According to Barani, no gold, silver, tankas, jitals, or superfluous commodities, which are the causes of rebellion, were to be found in the houses of Hindus. They were even deprived of the common luxury of chewing beetle. So, after Aladdin's death, a war of succession broke out. The last Khalji ruler was Khusro Malik. Ghiyasuddin defeated him and started the Tughlaq Dynasty. The Tughlaq Dynasty. This dynasty has ruled for 100 years, that is from 1320 to 1414. The first ruler is Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq from 1320 to 1325. He was an efficient military commander who suppressed rebellions and consolidated the Sultanate. He was succeeded by Jauna Khan, who took the title of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq from 1325 to 1351. He was very powerful ruler. Ibn Battuta wrote in detail about his reign. He tells us that Sultan had great ideas and plans that failed because the common people could not understand them. Historians are often divided in their opinion about this great ruler. The contradictions in his character led some to call him a mixture of opposites. He could be generous and cruel, or humble and arrogant at the same time. Yet there are others who believe that Muhammad bin Tughlaq was way ahead of his time. They believe his projects were well conceived but poorly executed. Let us learn about some of the administrative reforms that proved to be impractical and made him unpopular. Taxation in the Doab. Muhammad wanted to expand his empire through conquests. This meant a large army and increased resources to pay that army. So to get more money, the Sultan raised the land tax in the Doab region. The Doab was facing severe famine during this period. To raise taxes at such time was a great mistake. Many peasants abandoned their land. Some of them revolted. Ultimately, the Sultan had to withdraw his orders. Shift of capital. In 1327, Muhammad bin Tughlaq decided to shift the capital of empire from Delhi to Devagiri, which he renamed Daulatabad. He shifted the capital for following reasons. The Sultan felt that he would be able to control and administer the empire better from Daulatabad since it was located in the center of the empire. The Mongols were a constant threat to Delhi. Daulatabad, the Sultan thought, would be safe from attacks. Muhammad bin Tughlaq ordered the entire population of Delhi to move to Daulatabad. People did not want to leave their homes but had to obey the Sultan's orders. However, the Sultan soon realized that it was impossible to keep a watch on the northern frontiers from Daulatabad. So he ordered a reshift of the capital. All those who had gone to Daulatabad were asked to move back to Delhi. The failure of the experiment affected the prestige of the empire. The kingdoms of Deccan saw this as a sign of weak sultan and began to assert their independence. Introduction of a token currency. In 1329, Muhammad bin Tughlaq introduced a token currency. There are two views about this experiment. Some historians believe that Muhammad bin Tughlaq had plans of conquest in Central Asia for which he needed more money. Others believe that there were worldwide shortage of silver during this period. The Sultan thus issued token coins of brass and copper for day-to-day use. These coins had the same value as pure silver coins. Further, they could be exchanged for silver coins at any time from the royal treasury. Muhammad, however, failed to check the illegal minting of coins. The design of the coins was simple enough for ordinary craftspeople to copy. As brass and copper were easily available and much cheaper than silver, people bought brass and copper in bulk and started minting coins at home. The kingdom was flooded with forged coins. Money lost its value. Trade suffered as foreign merchants refused to accept these coins. The Sultan had to give silver coins in exchange of the forged ones. The treasury thus became empty. The experiment had to be withdrawn. Barani wrote the heaps of bronze coins rose like mountains near Tughlaq. Khorasan expedition. To expand the empire, Muhammad bin Tughlaq decided to conquer Khorasan in Central Asia. He raised a large army and spent a lot of money on weapons and other war supplies. The soldiers were also given 1 year's salary in advance as an incentive. The expedition was abandoned because Muhammad realized the difficulties his army would face in an alien land. The soldiers so recruited were disbanded. Karachal expedition. To secure the northern frontiers of Sultanate, Muhammad bin Tughlaq sent an army to Kangra region, that is modern Himachal Pradesh. After annexing this region, the army proceeded towards Tibet. There it suffered heavy casualties because it rained heavily in the mountainous region. According to Ziauddin Barani, only a handful soldiers returned from this expedition. Muhammad bin Tughlaq became very unpopular because of his schemes. He lost the trust of his nobles, the ulema, and the common people. Revolts broke out in Bengal, Gujarat, Warangal, and other places. Two powerful regional kingdoms, Vijayanagar and Bahmani, arose in South India and Deccan respectively. Muhammad bin Tughlaq lost control of his empire. He died in 1351. Firoz Shah Tughlaq from 1351 to 1388. Firoz Shah Tughlaq was Muhammad bin Tughlaq's cousin. He felt that Tughlaq had failed to consolidate his hold over the empire because he did not have the support of the nobles and the ulema. Firoz therefore decided to win over the ulemas and the nobles. He not only gave bigger iqtas to the nobles but also made those iqtas hereditary. To please the ulema, he imposed Islamic laws. Soon the nobles and ulema grew very powerful. They began to influence the policies of the Sultanate. Firoz Shah's reign witnessed numerous rebellions, chief being the revolts by governors of Bihar and Bengal. The Sultan failed to suppress these revolts. Firoz the Reformer. Firoz Shah is often called a reformer king. He did much for his people. He built many canals, tanks, wells, hospitals, and rest houses. He established new towns such as Jaunpur, Firozpur, Firozabad, and Hizar Firoza. He also built many educational institutions. Many Sanskrit texts were translated into Persian and Arabic during his reign. After the death of Firoz Shah, his empire disintegrated. Many regions became independent. Soon the Sultanate was reduced to Delhi and its surrounding areas. Let's see a comparative study between the Khaljis and the Tughlaqs based on the following features. Period of rule. Khaljis ruled for about 30 years, whereas Tughlaqs for 94 years. Important rulers of Khaljis were Alauddin Khalji, whereas in Tughlaq it was Muhammad bin Tughlaq and Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Khaljis are remembered for price control measures of Alauddin. Tughlaqs are remembered for transfer of capital and token currency experiment of Muhammad. Empire building of Khaljis expanded towards the south. Aladdin kept the Sultanate together. Tughlaqs expanded southwards, controlled more area than Khaljis. Foreign expeditions, however, failed. Control over the Sultanate was very loose. In Khaljis, slaves were plenty, especially war prisoners. In Tughlaqs, there were plenty. There was separate slave market. Tax on land. The Khaljis raised the land tax. It became the main source of revenue. The Tughlaqs' land tax was raised further, which led to the revolts. Army. The Khaljis kept a large army, paid the soldiers in cash, introduced numerous military reforms. The Tughlaqs had an even larger army, paid in cash. However, it was not as strong and efficient as under Aladdin. Mongol threat during the period of Khaljis was ever present. Aladdin repulsed numerous invasions and kept the Mongols in check, followed an offensive policy. During Tughlaq's reign, Mongols were less of a threat, but there were some invasions. The rulers followed a defensive policy. Control over nobles. The Khaljis kept the nobles under control so that they could not revolt, whereas the Tughlaqs, especially Firoz Shah, tried to appease the nobles and the ulemas. Opposition. During Khaljis, Aladdin ruled with an iron hand, crushed all opposition. During the rule of Tughlaqs, numerous revolts rocked the Sultanate. Religious orientation. Khaljis were reasonably secure, whereas Tughlaqs under Firoz Shah followed Islamic law and gained importance. Public welfare. Khaljis was not very people-centric. The price control measures, however, did benefit the people. During Tughlaqs, the public welfare did more for the people. Firoz Shah's social reforms and welfare measures benefited the people. Invasion of Timur in 1398. The final blow to the Tughlaq dynasty was the invasion of Timur. He was the ruler of a large empire in Central Asia. He invaded India and looted Delhi. His army massacred thousands of people. With the plundered wealth, he beautified his capital, Samarkand. He built elegant buildings, palaces, and mosques. Before leaving Delhi, Timur appointed Khizr Khan as his deputy in India. Khizr Khan established the Sayyid Dynasty in 1414. The Sayyid Dynasty from 1414 to 1451. The Sayyid Sultans ruled for a brief period. There were 4 Sayyid kings. Khizr Khan Sayyid from 1414 to 1421. He was the governor of Multan under Firoz Shah Tughlaq. After Firoz Shah Tughlaq's death, he supported a son of Firoz in the War of Succession. When Timur attacked India, Khizr Khan joined Timur. Before leaving India, Timur appointed Khizr Khan as governor of Multan, Lahore and Dipalpur. Khizr Khan conquered Delhi in 1414 and started the rule of Sayyids. Mubarak Shah Sayyid from 1421 to 1434. Mubarak Shah succeeded his father Khizr Khan. He was a man of vision and could have revived the glory of the Sultanate. The nobles, however, were against him. Most of his time was spent in controlling them. Muhammad Shah Sayyid from 1434 to 1443. Muhammad Shah was Mubarak Shah's nephew. The nobles grew very powerful during his reign. Alauddin Alam Shah Sayyid from 1443 to 1451. Alam Shah was the next ruler. He lost Delhi to Bahloul Lodi in 1451. With this, the brief rule of Sayyid Sultans came to an end. The Lodi Dynasty, 1451 to 1526. Until this period, all the rulers of Sultanate were of Turkish origin. The Lodis, however, were Afghans. Bahlul Lodi from 1451 to 1489. The first Lodi ruler was Bahlul Lodi. He tried to consolidate the fragmented Sultanate. Bahlul Lodi removed rebellious governors and appointed loyal Afghan nobles as governors of important provinces. At the time of Bahlul Lodi's death, the Sultanate stretched from Punjab to Bihar. Sikandar Lodi, 1489 to 1517. Sikandar Lodi was the most powerful Lodi ruler. He annexed Jaunpur and Bihar and signed a treaty of friendship with the ruler of Bengal. He also initiated many public welfare measures. For example, like Aladdin Khilji, he tried to lower the prices of essential commodities. He also extended loans to farmers. Sikandar Lodi founded the city of Agra and made it his capital. Ibrahim Lodi from 1517 to 1526. Ibrahim Lodi succeeded Sikandar Lodi. The Afghan nobles revolted against him. He, however, defeated them. To prevent such revolts in future, Ibrahim Lodi replaced senior nobles and governors who wielded a lot of power with younger men. The displaced nobles conspired with Babur, who overthrew Ibrahim Lodi in the First Battle of Panipat in 1526. The Delhi Sultanate provided stability and administration for 3 centuries. Trade flourished due to uniform legal system and currency. Art and architecture also witnessed tremendous progress. The Bhakti and Sufi trends became the dominant theme in the lives of people.